Okay, so at the end of section 4 in part 1, we have this exercise that we didn't get to do in the previous longer video. I wanted to do it as a separate video in in an emphasis on trying to keep these videos no longer than 30 to 40 minutes. Ideally, I'd like to keep them shorter than that, but sometimes we have a little overlap or chapters are a little bit long, so these videos might end up being longer than 30 to 40 minutes, but I'll try to keep them as condensed as possible. And in instances where we see videos going a little bit too long, I'll have to cut them and do a separate follow-up video if it's for exercises or for just doing readings in the course material. So this exercise is called Students in Groups. And we're instructed to please write a program which asks for the number of students on a course and the desired group size. The program will then print out the number of groups formed from the students on the course. If the division is not even, one of the groups may have fewer members than specified. If you can't get your code working as expected, it is absolutely okay to move on and come back to this exercise later. The topic of the next section is conditional statements. This exercise can also be solved using a conditional construction. So, conditional statements are basically if Booleans, or if something happens, then do something else. So if this, then do that. If this, then do that, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what they mean by conditional statements. We'll learn that more in the next section. But again, a hint here, it's giving us a hint here that we're going to need to use some sort of conditionality in order to get to the final answer. I've already thought about this, so I'll be able to walk you guys through this. So what we're going to do, first we're going to have some variables that track this number of students on the course, the desired group size. So here we're going to have a variable called students. We're going to typecast the input value to an integer and write how many students on the course. Then we're going to have another variable for group size. Pardon me. And here we say desired group size. And then we're just going to print out the number of groups formed. So we're going to say print number of groups formed. Then we're just going to do students using, it's giving us an hint that we're going to use the integer division operator with the integer division operator and group size. So let's run this and see what we get. So here we says how many students on the course. We can do the first one, 8 and 4, and we get number of groups formed, 2, which is good, which is what we wanted. So let's run it with this set of numbers here and see what we get. 11, 3, and we get 3 again. So what's the problem? So if you remember when I was talking about the arithmetic operators in the previous video, remember that the integer division operator rounds down whatever answer is produced from the division. So if we were to just do this, right, and we do 11, 3, we get a floating point number, right, a number with a decimal, 3.6666665. But if we do this, what Python is going to do is going to round this down to a whole integer. It's going to round it down to 3. So again, if we do 11 and 3, we get down to 3. But we want the answer to be 4 for the number of groups formed. So what can we do? So there's a clever trick that you can use in Python. Again, I don't think this exercise can be solved without using conditional statements, but I could be wrong. Now, we're not going to use if-then statements for Boolean evaluations like that, but we are going to use a symbol that we have not seen yet. And this comes with experience. If you've worked with other languages, you would have seen this symbol with a greater than symbol. So that's what we're going to do. And we're also going to use the modulo here. So the first thing that we should do is extract this to its own variable. So here we're going to have a variable for groups formed, and we're going to put that there. So now I'm just going to erase this and put groups formed. Okay, so what do we do now? We're going to wrap this in parentheses, and then we're going to do plus, and then we're going to do students modulo group size greater than 0. So what is this doing? Now this is going to return a number, but it's only going to do so if the evaluation of this is a number greater than 0. So if we have a number greater than 0, it could be whatever. If it's greater than 0, then it's going to return a number. It's going to return that remainder. And it's going to add that remainder to here to round up in a sense, or just to bump up the value of what we currently have. So this will work as normal if we have whole even numbers. So if we have 8 and 4, that's just 8 divided by 4, and it's going to give us back 2. So we don't have to round. Python's not going to round down because it's not a decimal number. It's not a floating point number. But this, it's going to do the exact same thing, but it's just not going to round up. It's going to return the remainder. So if the remainder is a number greater than 0, then it's going to add that number here. So again, 8 divided by 4 is 2. There's no remainder, so it's not going to add anything. So if we run this with 8 and 4, we still get 2. But if we run this with 11 and 3, we get 4, which is what we want. So if we run our tests here, I think we should be good. And we are, and I'm curious about the model solution. Oh, this is even more clever. Well, I didn't know. So what they did is they have a variable tracking the students and a variable tracking the group size. Then they have a variable calculating the desired number of groups that are formed. So they have students plus group size minus 1. And then they do the integer division operator with the group size, which gives them the number of groups formed. So students plus group size minus 1. So if we have 8 and 4, what's 8 and 4? 8 and 4 is 12 minus 1, which is 11. And then 11 divided by 4 will be what? 5 point something? And so it runs down. Oh no, it'll be 4 point something. So then it runs down to, I'm sorry, it'll be 2 point something, so then it'll round down. I'm curious. Let's use this for a second. And see what it does. I mean, it's gonna work, but I'm trying to see why it's working. Because I'm curious. This is a really clever answer. So let's say, let's print out. Let's print students divided by group size. I'm sorry, students plus group size minus 1. And then divided by group size. Whoops, excuse me. What happened? Oh. 11 and 3. So we get 4.33333. Oh. And then, but if we do this, it's going to round down. Right, so, that's really clever. Okay, let's do it with 8, 4, and 2. 8, 4, right, it gives us 2. 2.75, but if we round it down, it gives us 2. That's really clever. Wow, that's an even better answer than we did. And we didn't even have to use, these conditional operators. I like that. We're gonna keep that. That's so much clever. That's so much more clever than our answer. Wow. So again, if we run this, oh, something's not working. Why is this not working? Let's go to Google. Do we still have internet? We still have internet, so it must be the website that's down. Let's refresh. Scroll all the way down, if we can. We do. Okay, so it still saved it. All right, so if we do 11.3, we get 4. If we run the test, and that passes. That's awesome. That's so clever. See, this is why I'm not a college professor. But that's the answer to that. That's the answer to that exercise. So I hope you enjoyed that. Maybe you learned a thing or two. I certainly did. But yeah, in the next video, we're going to be moving on to the final section, section 5, which will be about conditional statements. So thank you so much for watching.